Welcome back to another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we feature business owners, entrepreneurs, and community members who are doing extraordinary, amazing, unbelievable things right there in their community and sometimes in the broader world. Today, we're in Oceanport, New Jersey with my good friend, Dawn Placer. She's an awesome person, a motivational speaker, a life coach, helps women primarily kind of overcome some challenges that they have, just like she has. But let me tell you a little bit about her. Number one, she just wrote a book called Empower Your Journey, a workbook for personal growth. So that seems, it's like a follow the check marks, do the things, and you'll be on a great journey to improve the rest of your life, which is also something we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let me tell you where this all got started. Right. So some of the things that she has accomplished over the last few years is this is like huge for me, and something frankly I can't relate to, but I know a lot of women who can, who've really been overcome 4.5 years of domestic violence. That is like unbelievable. It hurts just to even say that, because I've known Dawn for a year or two or so, and knowing her the way I do, it hurts just to imagine her going through that pain, and after that, and now became much more independent, confident, moving forward, rebuilt her finances without my help. But I know she had some help, but it's okay. I'll take that. And she has a great son who's now going off to college and learning digital music. I don't know what that means, but it's okay. We'll interview him another time. So let's go in. Let's kind of dig into this a little bit, Dawn. It's great to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. So
yeah,
without getting into like the gory details, what were some of the challenges that you had in the past that inspired you to write the book?
Yeah, so certainly, like you mentioned, the domestic violence, it took 4.5 years to finally have that aha moment and the courage to get out of that. That was my first marriage. Then I went into a second marriage. It was actually much better, but it ended with some secrets. And due to my decision to put my career on hold and help him in his new business, I left him with nothing, $3,000 to my name, no savings, no life insurance, no nothing.
Wow.
And my then not quite 5-year-old son, we moved into my parents' house and shared a 10 by 10 room for about 5 years before I got my finances back in order. I worked with some financial planners. Sorry, not you.
It's okay. I didn't know you then, so it's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah, I got my credit score fixed. I, got a good job in IT at the time and got my finances built back up, figured out how to invest and get life insurance and savings and all that stuff. And eventually, long story short, we ended up in the apartment we're in now in Oceanport in 2017. I was a health coach for a couple of years, an independent consulting health coach, helping people lose weight, get healthy long term. And I just, again, had this aha moment of, I feel like an offer more. And one day I told somebody my story about the domestic violence, and they said, that's how you can help. And ever since then, I have just been on fire, really motivated by that story to help other women and men too, but mostly women, learn how to overcome fears and self-doubts and propel themselves forward and be ultimately successful.
Wow. I mean, that is a great, you hear also awful stories of people who succumb to that violence and I guess have a tough time getting out of that world. Yep. Right, and moving on. So it's great that you've been able to do that.
And I didn't have any help. I lived, my ex at the time, my husband at the time, he was in the military. So we moved all over the place. We lived in a different state. I didn't have close friends. I wasn't near my family. So yeah, I didn't have any help. I had to figure it out on my own. And as far as my book, once I started helping people, I just felt like, how can I help more?
Yeah. Certainly get that message across. So we'll see if we'll dig into a little bit of that kind of stuff. Now, how did you, and this is a pretty sensitive subject for you and the readers, how did you kind of approach this getting all the detail or the concept out on paper?
I already have a coaching program, or had a coaching program in place. So for this book, the first book, because there will be more, I wanted something that would really just kickstart people in general. It wasn't focused on any particular person or any particular issue. So it's very generic about tasks and goals and how to really focus on those things, most of which was already part of my program. So I just took that and made it into a workbook.
Okay. Does it focus any on domestic violence and finances also, or is it really more the
Not this particular book, because like I said, I wanted this one to be a little more broad of an audience.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, good. All right, good. And maybe future books?
Yeah.
May dig into more detail of
Yeah,
different
but it's
aspects of
still,
people.
yeah, but it will still teach the skill sets of, I'm here. And I always say this, I am here. I want to get here. And what actions do I need to take to get there? Well, I'm in domestic violence. I want to get out. Now, what do I need to do? Who do I reach out to? What kind of help do I get? How do I need to be prepared?
Okay, all right, good. So now you say you had this aha moment. Okay, it's one thing to have an aha moment, and like, now what do I do? How did that thought process come about?
To do the book or to become a life coach?
No, to get out, first of all, get out of the situation you were in. First of
Oh,
all.
I can't even really explain what made it happen. Most of the time he choked me. But one time he punched me really hard in the arm to the point that I fell to the floor.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I don't know. I just honestly, I suddenly had this moment of calm, and he always turned off like a switch, went off as if nothing ever happened. And I just laid there on the floor for a minute. I wasn't even crying. And I just thought, this is it. I'm done. And, I kind of came up with a plan, and it took a bit because he ended up going away to ranger training, which was 5 months, which was good for me actually, because I got to experience 5 months of freedom. But yeah, it just, for different people, it happens in different ways. I literally got punched, fell to the floor, and that was it. I said, enough is enough.
Yeah. I mean, we often hear that, things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
That's very true.
Right. There's an extreme example of that. And,
That's very
at least you were
true.
able to come out of that situation. So that is great. I mean,
Yeah.
got to give you a lot of credit for that.
And then becoming a life coach, my younger brother, who I give so much credit to and is someone I definitely look up to, he had invited me last June, so June 2022, to an all-day motivational speaking event with a bunch of big speakers. And at that point, I was still floundering with, health coaching, but I can offer more. What is it? And this one speaker came on, the first speaker came on and told his story of his father who was drunk and abusive, blah, 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 and how he grew from nothing. And I just immediately related it to my story. And within probably less than the hour, I had that aha moment of,
there you go.
That's what I want to do.
There you go. There's always that spark somewhere, somehow. And kind of let that out.
The very next day, I contacted a business attorney and got my paperwork started.
There you go. Taking action, not just
That's right.
Lots of
absolutely.
People have ideas all the time, and then just whatever. Let's do it.
Yep. I say too, when opportunity knocks, you should open the door and let it in. And if it doesn't knock, make a new door.
Make it do. Oh, there you go. That's another good thing.
That's right.
Terrific. So now you've been doing the the life coaching for a little while yet. What did you learn? No, not only what did you learn to be able to be a life coach, right? Number one, but as you were helping clients going to get their life together, like you helped yourself get your life together, what did you learn from them, maybe from the clients you had, as opposed, in addition to what did you learn about yourself in moving forward?
I certainly learned about myself in the world of business ownership, that I have a lot more drive than I probably ever thought I would. I never considered myself a career person, but it's different when you own your own business. It's a different mindset than working for someone else in corporate America. For from other clients, I mean, I guess it's more reflective of, I listen to their stories or their situations, and I think actually of how lucky I am. I went to the domestic violence training, and they show a lot of statistics. And once the domestic violence gets to choking, the next step after that is under the ground.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, another reason why when I meet with my clients, I feel grateful that I'm able to be there for them and to help them before it gets to that point.
Get to that stage. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was, well, clearly, that's why you're here, right? That there's a
Yeah,
progression of
there is.
violence.
There
Yeah.
is.
And, okay. Well, good. I'm going to start to get nervous, when I dig into
Sorry.
these kind of topics. We've done this before with
Yeah.
other people, and it's always awkward for me having no experience with kind of this at all. But that's why you're here, to share
Yeah.
that stuff with the audience too. So that's pretty cool.
And I always tell people when I share my story, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. It's not about that anymore. I tell my story to show people I was there, and now I'm here, and now I'm here to help you do the same thing.
There you go. There you go. So you've experienced the issues, and now you can help other people to get out. So when they, just like maybe you saw that speaker on the stage, that became your motivation to move forward. When your
Correct.
clients see you, and that gives them the motivation to move forward also. Right?
Correct.
Cool. Very good. Very good. And so was it difficult? How difficult was it to write? I guess now you're starting to get it out, put it on paper. How was that process going?
Writing it wasn't so difficult, again, because I already had my program and it's in writing. But you do have to add a lot to that or change it up a bit, because now you're putting it into a book format, which is different than just me looking at a program that I have to offer up to my clients. So it took some process. There's of course editing, re-editing, reviewing, fixing, all that stuff. Took some time, choosing a book cover, designing the book cover. There's text on the back of the book. So, it's like a lot of firsts. I feel like the first probably will have taken longer than the books that will be coming up after that one. So yeah, definitely a learning curve, but very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Sure. When you're creating, it's like a baby. I can't experience that either. But, it's your thing that you've created from nothing, essentially, and now you can. So you really very careful about that. And I think also having that entrepreneur mindset now is one of the, what they say, it's something about you work 100 hours a week to not have to work 40 hours a week or something like that.
Right. Like, it was a lot of work to put the book out there, but now it's out there. It's on Amazon. And it's done. That book is done. I don't have to work on that particular book anymore. Now I just have to finish the next one.
Finish.
But
started the next one.
Oh yeah, I'm probably more than halfway through with it already.
Oh, cool. Can we get a little hint of what that might be?
So it's still a workbook. It's just more focused on positivity, how to turn your negative thoughts into positive thoughts, how to be more calm throughout the day. It's actually probably going to be a little bit bigger book and a little more text, less of a workbook, but still some workbook tasks to do.
So you talk about a workbook. That's kind of interesting. It's not just a textbook or read this and write it. So tell me a little about how it's structured and how a reader would follow along and kind of help themselves.
Yeah, I actually purposely wanted it to be a workbook because, one, some people don't like to read or they don't retain what they read. And since the goal was to help people, I thought it would be good to have them do the work, right? Learn the skills, actually do the skills to learn the skills. So there are many pages in this book that have either questions or like a grid kind of box, fill this out, fill that out. Because again, that way you're actually putting it into practice, and writing things down is
Mhm.
a tremendous skill to learn.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways that I know of like taking notes at a lecture. There's all kinds of ways of pen to paper from your hand is a huge learning tool to be able to absorb information.
Right,
Really good, really
right.
good, really good. Have you gotten some feedback from some readers, or before it was published even? How did you go about that process to
Not
make
so.
sure it was good?
Yeah, I did actually have a few people look at the book. I'm able to order a draft and even a author's version of the book. It's just cheaper. But I did order some drafts, and I had some friends look it over, and yeah, they all really liked it. Me, I was, super critical of my own thing. So went through a few drafts before the final copy. I have gotten feedback from people who I know that ordered the book already and have put it into use. One cool thing is a woman that I know not only used the book for herself, but her young daughter is also learning entrepreneurial skills. She makes these little bracelets and other jewelry and stuff. And she showed the book to her daughter, and now they're redoing it together.
Oh, very good. Very good. That's awesome. When you get a group of people, do you have any? I mean, that sounds, you've heard of book clubs. Is there a book, an Empower Your Journey club, either online or people can kind of work?
No, but that's a really good idea. Thank you for that, Howie.
There you go. There you go.
That's right.
And yeah, any kind of spin-offs that, I think it's one of these kind of, I can imagine for me, let me just put it in this way, that a workbook like you're describing is work. It's called workbook for a reason. It's not sit
Yeah.
on the shelf book, right? So and that becomes hard. Now, is there anything in the book that helps people move forward from that? When things are tough, not just, and life happens, that's one piece of it, but when people get stuck in an exercise or not sure how to answer fill in the boxes, like you said, what is there anything in the book or that you recommend that people can kind of move forward with that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question. So, I mean, part of life coaching is teaching people how to overcome their fears and self-doubt. So there might be a variety of reasons why a person is stuck. People might, even though the book is their own, people are afraid to write things down. I was. Until I started my business, I never wrote down my tasks and goals because I was afraid to. Why? It holds you accountable to yourself. You're making a promise to yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are definitely times when people may not complete something in the book because they're afraid to write it down. When I decided I wanted my business, like I said, I got home next day, I called my business attorney, someone I knew, and I wrote down, I wanted a business. I figured out the name. I wrote it down. I wrote down that I wanted my papers signed, sealed, and delivered by the following week. It was a Friday. I wanted it the next Friday. That happened. And I attribute it to writing it down. Now I have a whiteboard that I call a war board in my dining room so I can see it every day. And it has a variety of months and years of goals that I intend to reach in my business, including my book, speaking events. I have hit every single month I have put on that whiteboard.
Wow.
So now I definitely believe in writing things down. I mean, people obviously may not know an answer. Maybe they need to come back to it, and that's fine. When you write things down, there should never be any pressure. Another reason to write things down, a lot of people will go to bed and they can't sleep because their head is busy thinking about what they have to do the next day, or maybe what they didn't do that day. Keep a journal by your bed and write it down, because then it gets it out of your head so you don't have to keep thinking about it.
That's a great tool.
And prioritize by what's most important, not by what's easiest.
So it's that important, urgent
Yes,
kind of boxes,
because
right?
yeah, I had somebody that told me they prioritize their task list by what was easiest. So like, but then like if you have to pay your bills, I mean, that's an extreme example, but yeah,
Well,
the task list should definitely be organized by what's higher priority.
yeah. And that's sort of now you start getting into productivity tools and all the other things
Right,
to make that whole process easier, right? So you know what to
right.
work on first, second, third kind of stuff
Yeah.
too.
And again, all this kind of is gotten over in the book.
So that's part of the whole process. That's what I'm kind of getting at. So that's good
Yeah.
that you help
Yeah.
people
The book
do the work.
talks about tasks and goals and your why. It's very important to have a why because
Mhm.
why you do something is what keeps you motivated.
Sure, sure. Some of the things that we ask actually are when we're having some conversations with people about finances and whatever, is to say, okay, here's your goal, and or this is what you said. You said your goal is this, and you want to do it in this time frame. You say, okay, great, and then we'll say, okay. So, how would you feel if you're at that date and it didn't happen? And people they stop. I'm like, oh my God, then that reality of not accomplishing the goal slaps them in the face. And yeah, it's really a shocker for that stuff. So
Yeah. That
sometimes
goes
they're okay
to
facing. Yeah.
that goes to another point of celebrating your wins. So a lot of people will only celebrate the big end goal wins. It's very important to celebrate all the wins throughout your day, including making your bed, especially if you don't want to, right? You get up, you make your bed. But the point is to then recognize that you did it. It
Yeah.
has a different impact than if you just do it kind of mindlessly, get it done, right? Brushing your teeth. All the actions you have to take to get from here to there count as wins. Because then what happens, like you said, if you get to that win, first of all, and you do win, yeah, you celebrate, but then there's nothing motivating you in between because you're not celebrating the wins in
The
between.
little wins.
Right. And then if you get to that goal and you haven't reached it, now you're extra unmotivated because you don't understand the rest of the in between, right? So then you become the problem solver. Okay, well, I didn't reach my goal. What next? And this is where we talk about before action reviews and after action reviews, which is also in my book, BARs and AARs. So if I didn't reach my goal, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I do it better? And what's next?
And so good. So you have so that's good. Instead of just saying, that goal wasn't that important in the first place. Never mind.
Right.
Action steps
Right.
for everything.
Absolutely everything.
Well, very cool. Very cool. That's really good. So I like the way that kind of puts together. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how that I'm thinking of way I would approach some of those things or some of the goals that I set for myself. One of the things that I always find disconcerting for me when I hear this from other people, they say, "Oh, I'm going to make $1 million by the end of the year," or some absurd goal. I don't want to say maybe absurd, but I've heard it been called this is my goal for whatever this particular thing is, and this is the stretch goal for that. But I find sometimes those kind of things are actually demotivating because I don't necessarily believe or I don't care enough about this particular goal to do the work.
Right. Well, that's where your why comes in. Right.
Yeah.
Your why is what describes how much you care.
Yeah. Very cool. And what are some of the goals that you've set for yourself other than make your bed? What is
other than make my bed? Promote my book.
that you've accomplished. So writing the book, that's pretty huge.
Writing the book. I would like to get my next book out very quickly. I have an opportunity to actually maybe speak on a talk show on TV.
Ooh.
So I would like to get my second book out before that happens. I don't know where or when yet, so to be determined.
Okay.
Other goals, I mean, long term, I would like to have a product line. Things are kind of calming, candles, not really what people call swag, because swag is like hats and shirts and it doesn't really go with my business. But a product line would be nice. More speaking events, large speaking events is certainly a goal of mine. traveling more for my personal life. Those are some big goals. Smaller goals, you know, just getting through the day. I keep my list and I follow my list. I had
Yeah.
several appointments to make today, including you. And I make sure I follow it.
Good.
I make sure I communicate openly with people. That's a goal. Stay in good communications with people is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
On a personal level, I like to conduct myself ethically and with high moral standards.
Of course. I would expect nothing less from you. The way we've known each other for a little while, I mean, we're on
Yeah,
the same page for just about all that stuff. So that's really cool. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Or anything else we haven't talked about?
not really. Just like I said, I have my book already on Amazon, Empower Your Journey. It's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
workbook. Book 2 will be coming out hopefully soon. There will be
Good.
more after that. That's on Amazon. I have my website, talks about my backstory. There are lots of blogs on there that are also very helpful.
Oh, good.
There's lots of blogs on there. Yeah, and then once I know about the TV show, I'll let you know.
We'll let you know. Absolutely. We're going to put that out there too. So so now of this whole journey of however many years from the aha moment on the floor to now, and to a potential TV show. I mean, that's talk about a huge journey, right? All that work. Do you attribute some of that to the hard work and focus and all that kind of stuff, or maybe a little bit of luck? What do you think?
A little bit of luck. I guess it depends on how you look at it, right? I'm not afraid to tell my story. I feel that has definitely attributed to some of my successes, because then people know me, they know my story. I network a lot. That's sort of hard work. I mean, I enjoy networking. It's time consuming. But again, it's about getting my name out there, getting my face out there, getting my story out there. Being well connected, not being afraid to talk to people. Yeah.
Good. Good.
And definitely keeping a positive attitude. Every now and then I have these new smaller aha moments. Recently I realized that the dichotomy of what I went through, the domestic violence more so than the second marriage, is that I feel more positive now in life in general, in my everyday life, that I'm telling that story more than I ever would have imagined. I feel more positive now than ever. I just came up with a new saying, every day is a good day. It's just that some are better than others.
Oh, there you go. That's a great way to look at it. There's a real positive outlook on stuff. So
yeah,
very cool.
Very and cool. That helps keep me motivated to keep building my business and wanting to help others.
And that's right. And there you go. And it all comes down to really helping others and kind of moving forward. So that's really kind of awesome. So,
yeah. And just to add to the coaching, so I do offer a 12-week, so that's a 3-month and a 6-month coaching program. One that's the 3-month is like a kickstart, gets you into some general goal oriented things and positive thinking. And then you can go into the 12-month program. It goes into a bit more detail. So that's like a one-on-one situation. I do either do that on Zoom, which is not my favorite, but I can, or I have an office locally near where I live.
Okay, good. Very good, good. And all that stuff's on your website. So
that's on my website.
All right, there you go.
Yep.
And the link is right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and I do motivational speaking for a variety of corporations, real estate agencies, a recovery center. I'm open to speaking at schools, preferably high schools, and also even sports teams.
Okay, very good, very good. So this is really a story. It's a variety of things. But what I'm hearing is your story is a story that other people really need to hear who've kind of been in your situation, or not necessarily to avoid being in your situation. Let me put it that way. So And maybe they can
Right. Or
recognize some
like
of
I
those
said,
signs.
right. Or since I don't just focus on the domestic violence for clients or speaking events, it's just to show people in general, you could be stuck, whether it be that extreme or not.
Right.
You
Right.
could be
Exactly.
stuck and just figure it out, get
Yes.
help figure it out.
With a little bit of guidance from some of the tips. I don't call it just tips, but some of the exercise and things in the book.
That's correct.
Very good. Very cool. Well, thanks, Ron. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on and having this kind of discussion. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad we kind of put it together.
It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Howie.
Yeah, good. So for everyone out there, check on the links below, and you'll have a great time reading Dawn's book and learning more about her. And so just remember, whether it's your organization, your finances, your business, whatever it is, remember, it's money that makes those gears keep turning. Make sure your money is working the most optimal way it can. Thanks, Dawn.
Thanks, Howie.